If you have clicked on this video, you are probably interested in some help with your midterm rental. This video specifically is going to talk about some of the consulting packages that I offer for people that are new to midterm rentals. Primarily, I'm going to focus on my mentor / hold my hand package because I have found that people that are new to midterm renting and or just landlording in general have confidence that they can probably do it themselves, but they're not sure how to get started, and they are also worried that they might make a catastrophic mistake that's going to cost them a lot of money. So let's talk about what this video is going to cover. So first, I'm going to give you a tip for each of the major platforms, being Furnished Finder, Zillow, and Airbnb. Second, I'm going to tell you about my background and how long I've been at this. Third, I'm going to tell you about the structure of the mentor / hold my hand package. And fourth, I'm going to talk about the stats of the past 5 clients that I've helped. Okay, so let's get into it. First things first, I am not someone that believes that you should be pursuing the travel nursing websites or that you should be trying to cultivate a one-to-one relationship with a company unless you have some kind of in and unless that company is undiscovered. So an example of this would be I had a client out of LA who recently got a model that came in and stayed with her, and that model was like, there's models from Europe all the time that come here that need midterm rentals, so I'm going to start to do some introductions. That's an appropriate relationship building strategy, but trying to go after the insurance or the traveling nurse sites is a waste of your time. And the reason why it's a waste of your time is because a lot of other hosts know about those websites, so you have a lot of competition that's fighting to get in front of that tenant pool, but the tenant pool of insurance claims and traveling nurses is not growing. Now, insurance claims maybe in the future, but not at the speed that host awareness is growing. And so this creates a problem for you because you have a lot more competition, but the tenant pool isn't growing. So if you are looking for that one-to-one relationship with trying to get in front of insurance claims or traveling nurse companies, I may not be the person for you. On that note though, I have never had any issues getting a client, a tenant. And so for that reason, I don't think that those relationships are important, and I also think they work against you. Now let's talk about the platforms. So the 3 platforms that I mentioned. Airbnb, let's start with the tip there. So on Airbnb, if you are the tenant and you put in a search for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath that you need for the next 2 months, you're not only going to get results for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but you're going to get results for everything that's bigger than a 2-bedroom and 1-bath. So you might see results for a 6-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, just properties that aren't really appropriate for what you're looking for. So on Airbnb, a much better way to use the headline is to start with the configuration of the property. 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and then go into the details. And hint here, it's better to be specific. Don't use subjective words like cozy, modern, etc. They don't communicate anything to anyone. And I know all your competition is doing it, but it's not a good practice. You should try something else. On Furnished Finder, we see in the forums, in the traveling nurse forums or forums that are specifically discussing Furnished Finder, that there's a huge communication gap between the tenants and the hosts. So I'm seeing tenants complain, I'm reaching out to hosts and no one's getting back to me. And I'm seeing hosts complain like, I followed up with all these leads and nothing ever happened. Well, even though your information exists there as the host and the tenant could find it, we want to make it as simple as possible, and we want to eliminate this problem as much as possible. So the way to do that is to put your email in the first line of your description in your Furnished Finder. And then finally, let's talk about Zillow Rental Manager. So Zillow Rental Manager is a really exciting platform for the midterm space right now because a lot of people aren't thinking about Zillow Rental Manager. And the reason why I like Zillow Rental Manager so much and I've had so much success on it is that there are a lot of people on Zillow Rental Manager that are searching for a long-term unfurnished rental, but then when they see a furnished rental on Zillow Rental Manager, they convert. And then you have a tenant that's paying an elevated rent and they're also staying longer. That's a really nice place place to be as the landlord. One hint on this, Zillow has an option where you can toggle back and forth between furnished and unfurnished. And I recommend doing both week to week or month to month, depending on what your strategy is, so that you're in front of people that are both looking for a furnished rental and those that are not looking for a furnished rental. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about me for a little bit. So I have had midterm rentals since 2017, and the reason for that is because I had a bunch of Airbnb rentals, and in 2017 in Denver, the laws changed so that you could only do short-term rentals on your primary residence. Well, we had all these other investment rentals that had furniture in them, and we weren't quite sure what to do. So we moved them to 30+ day rentals so that we were legal within Denver's code, but we also had these furnished rentals. And so we have had many midterm rentals since 2017. And even in cities where we have the option to switch back to a short-term rental, we still stick with midterm rentals because we just tend to like the tenant base better. Those tenants tend to last longer. You don't hear from them as much, and they pay an elevated rent, which is great. It's what you want in a tenant. I have also written 3 books on midterm rentals. They're all available on Amazon. I have a YouTube channel that has over 300 videos around midterm rentals, and I basically eat, breathe, and sleep midterm rentals. I've done this mentor package for the past year. I've helped a lot of people with it, and what I'll say about it is that I've never had anyone that didn't succeed with this package, which leads me to the details of this package. So this package is broken into 3 parts, and it includes 6 hours of one-to-one coaching with me. You only work with me. I don't have a team. That's kind of why I keep my rates a little bit elevated, is so that I don't have to worry about employees or babysitting employees. If you book this package, you work directly with me. So the 3 parts of this package are the intake, the setup, and then acquiring the tenant and installing them. So the intake will be me talking to you about your property, talking about the features of the property, and deciding which platform makes the most sense for what you're trying to do. I then will set up your rental on the platform. The only thing that you need to do basically is send me professional photos and I'll get it set up. And as a note, I work nationwide. I'm out of Colorado, but the majority of my clients, probably 80%, are not in Colorado. So that's the intake. I'm collecting the information. I'm getting your professional photos. I'm setting up on the platform. That's the intake. And then some other elements of the setup depend on which platform you're on. So on Airbnb, we're going to be a lot more focused on pricing and calendaring strategy because there isn't good data with price labs, etc., for midterm rentals yet. And we want to be strategic because in all places, some months are worth more than others, right? So that's our focus on Airbnb. On Zillow and Furnished Finder, we have a different focus, and that comes down more to the leasing and the background checks. Although on Airbnb, to be clear, I will also handle the vetting and the acceptance of your first tenant. Okay, and for the 3rd stage of this package, I will be handling the vetting and the setting of the tenants, meaning that regardless of whether or not you've chosen Airbnb, Furnished Finder, or Zillow, I will set up the platform, I will vet and set your tenant, and I will hang out for the first month. I also will handle all of the communication, and if you're on Zillow or Furnished Finder, you'll be CC'd on every ounce of communication that I have with tenants, and on Airbnb, it'll be co-hosting status, so you'll be able to see it there as well. While I offer recommendations and will tell you, hey, I would take this tenant, or I wouldn't for some reason, I would never accept a tenant without your sign off. And same thing with your calendaring and pricing. And then as a final note, I hang out for the first month of your tenant's tenancy, and the majority of my clients have their second tenant set up before I drop off on the package. That's not actually a formalized part of the package, but it's something that I see a lot, and it's something that I'm always happy to talk to my clients about and help with if I am still on the account and they're getting interest through that first month of their first rental. And the reason why I offer this package is because I think most people would be good landlords and that their properties will work, but it's a scary thing to get into because it's a lot of money involved, and we've all heard a lot of horror stories. That just hasn't been my experience, but it doesn't mean that it's not still intimidating or that you can't make mistakes that will cost you money. And then finally, let's talk about the stats for the Mentor Hold My Hand package. So for my last 5 clients, the average that they've made on their first tenant is $4,300. And from live date, meaning when the listing went live on the platform, to securing a tenant, the average was 12 days. The median was 7 days. So I hope that helps. If you have questions about the Mentor Hold My Hand midterm rental package, please reach out. My email is Erin@erinandjamesrealestate.com. You can book it through email or you can book it through the stan.store. And again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate. I promise it's not as hard as it seems. You just need to get going.